Victoria Quinton recently hired a new assistant who also happened to be an alumnus from her college. The two of them, a handsome man and a beautiful woman, became the subject of office gossip. It seemed everyone had forgotten that I was her husband. I used to complain, but she'd always brush me off with, "Don't be ridiculous." Even our daughter would join in, condemning me. "Daddy Lyndon is all alone and pitiful. How can you be so petty with him? It's disgusting." Later, the two of them, mother and daughter, abandoned me on the highway, completely disregarding my safety. I have a severe allergy to cold air. I limped along, desperately searching for shelter, until thankfully a night cyclist found me and saved me. When morning came, I made 2 calls, one to my assistant and one to my mother. "Mom, I'm coming home next month. Owen, I'm entering the competition this year." 1. Leaving the hospital, I still couldn't quite adjust to the cold wind outside. I quickly found a mask and put it on, the doctor's words still ringing in my ears. "Don't you know your own body? The wind was that strong and you went for a walk? Do you have any idea that if you'd come in any later, you would have gone into shock?" He was my attending physician, Dr. Leo Zane, and also a friend of Victoria's. He'd been helping me manage my health for years, and I had been well protected. But last night's ordeal set me right back to square one. I hailed a cab home. On the way, my assistant called, his excited voice bursting through the phone the moment I put it to my ear. "Big C, you've finally come around. This is great. I'm going to tell everyone right away. We have to throw you a big welcome home party." He started rambling on, but I didn't feel the slightest bit of impatience. Instead, I felt a pang of guilt, deeply sorry for letting down these brothers and colleagues who had respected my wishes for so long. After he hung up, a message from my mom, Eleanor, came through. "Son, are Victoria and Tilly coming back with you? Come to think of it, I haven't seen them in 8 or 9 years. I wonder if my little granddaughter even remembers her grandma. Victoria and I had been married for 10 years. Apart from our wedding registration when my parents flew in from abroad, I had spent all these years in the country. They aren't. Just me." I closed my phone screen and got out of the car. The house before me felt both familiar and strange. I took out my key to open the door, only to hear a man's voice from inside. Just as I inserted the key, the door was pulled open from within. I came face to face with Lyndon Archer. He was Victoria's assistant, and her junior from university. "Big C, you're back. Come in, quick. You had me so worried. If it weren't for my bad foot, I would have gone to see you myself." My eyes swept over to his ankle, so he was the reason they had left me behind. It was just a small scrape. Anyone who didn't know better would have thought his leg was broken. His familiar tone made it sound like he was the man of the house. I ignored him and stepped inside. My slippers from the shoe cabinet were on his feet. "Oh, Big C, I'm sorry. Victoria said I should wear these for now and that we'd buy new ones later. I'll take them off for you right now." I shook my head and chuckled. He was still so young. Though his words sounded considerate, every syllable was a boast, a way of showing off how close he was with Victoria. "Don't worry about it. You're the guest. It's only right that we take care of you." My light-hearted comment made him freeze on the spot, his face flushing red and pale. 2. I sat on the sofa. Tilly Quinton was playing a video game and didn't even lift her head when she saw me, but I no longer cared. The reason she was called Tilly Quinton was because Victoria felt such pity for Lyndon Archer, an orphan with no family. Her bleeding heart overflowed, and she decided our daughter should take his last name. Victoria descended the stairs gracefully in her sleepwear, a hickey clearly visible on her neck. She seemed surprised to see me, and the smile on her lips froze. "You're back. Is everything all right?" I shook my head. The worst that could happen was death, so what could possibly be wrong? "Lyndon, what are you doing standing at the door? You shouldn't be on that foot for long. Come over here." Lyndon walked straight to Victoria, crouched down, and gently blew on her calf. I had no mind for anything else. My gaze was fixed on the necklace around his neck. It was the one I had personally designed and put on her for our first anniversary. "It's all my fault for being so clumsy yesterday. Does it still hurt? If I wasn't mistaken, they must have slept together. Were they that desperate?" They could have at least been considerate of the child. Noticing my gaze, Victoria awkwardly tucked her hair behind her ear. She helped Lyndon up and, in a classic case of protesting too much, explained, "Don't get the wrong idea. We didn't do anything." With that, she turned and went back to her room, telling Lyndon to be careful and not to do any heavy lifting when he returned to the office. From the moment I walked in, she hadn't once asked if I was still in pain. In the past, she would have been a nervous wreck if I'd so much as sprained an ankle, let alone been hospitalized. Things had changed. No, she hadn't changed. The person she cared about had. "Big C, what do you think of my necklace?" Victoria gave it to me for my birthday. "I just think the design is a bit poor, too rough. The craftsmanship isn't even half as good as mine, but, well, it's a gift from her." I had almost forgotten that he had also majored in jewelry design in college. He was deliberately provoking me, but I saw him as nothing more than a petty clown, just jumping around for attention. I didn't say a word, and he didn't seem annoyed. But my daughter Tilly wasn't about to let me off the hook. "Hey, Sincere Clark, Dad is talking to you. Are you deaf or mute? How did a hospital stay make you so ill-mannered?" A chill went through my heart as I looked at her. I couldn't believe that the daughter I had doted on her entire life had turned into such an ungrateful brat, now siding with an outsider to attack me. Before I could react, Lyndon suddenly slumped to the floor, rubbing his foot and crying out in pain. I was speechless. The acting was so clumsy, yet Victoria fell for it completely. "Lyndon, how are you? Are you okay?" Victoria rushed to his side, fussing over him. Tilly added fuel to the fire. "Dad, how could you push Uncle Lyndon? His foot isn't healed yet. Do you want to make it worse?" 3. At her words, Victoria shot me a sharp glare, her displeasure overflowing. "Sincere Clark, you've gone too far. What did Lyndon ever do to you? Hitting him is like hitting me. I was the one who let him stay here. If you're angry, take it out on me. Why are you picking on him?" I had no way to defend myself, nor did I want to explain. I just let them leave before my eyes. In the past, no matter what happened, Victoria would have stood firmly by my side. She once said that even if the whole world betrayed me, she would stand with me and betray the world. They came home together that evening, looking more like a family of 3 at first glance. "Lyndon will be staying with us for a while," Victoria announced. "You can look after him. You're not doing anything at home anyway. Consider it making amends." She helped Lyndon move his bags into our master bedroom. She didn't say it outright, but the meaning was clear. I watched coldly. Why was I at home? Others might not know, but didn't Victoria Quinton remember? I was once a rare genius in the industry, winning major and minor awards since my teens. But because she felt we were both too busy with work and had no one to look after our child, I resolutely announced my retirement at the peak of my career to become a stay-at-home dad. At first, she felt sorry for me, thinking I'd sacrificed too much for the family. But ever since Lyndon appeared, she and Tilly were no longer the same. I had paid for this house, yet there was little space for me in it. Mother and daughter had occupied most of it. Now, with Lyndon's arrival, my few remaining possessions had been stuffed into the attic. Clink. A crisp sound pulled me from my memories. My trophy had fallen to the floor, shattering into pieces. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Big C, it's all my fault for being so clumsy. Let me help you pick it up and glue it back together." Victoria rushed over at the sound, grabbing Lyndon's outstretched hand. "Leave it. Is that stupid thing more important than you? If you get hurt again, who's going to help me?" This was my very first trophy. She used to treasure it even more than I did. Now it had become worthless. Then again, if the person no longer matters, why would their things? I picked up the pieces, one by one, just like my shattered heart impossible to put back together. My phone rang. It was a calendar alert, the countdown I had set. 1 week left until my departure. Victoria and I had 10 years of beautiful memories, so many things of sentimental value. I spent the entire afternoon packing, filling several large boxes, including the toys I had assembled for Tilly. I used to think of these things as heavy with love. Now they just felt like a burden. I found a junk collector at the entrance to our community and watched as he loaded every last item onto his cart. My heart felt nothing, not a single ripple. In the end, I made a few $dozen. Love really is the most worthless thing. 4. The collector's tricycle passed by Victoria's car. Tilly was the first to recognize her toys. "Mom, look, aren't those our things? Why is that dirty old man taking them away?" I was about to go inside when Victoria's car screeched to a halt at the door. The exhaust fumes choked me, making me cough. She jumped out, furious. "You sold our things?" I nodded, my expression blank. I couldn't understand why she was reacting so strongly. "Weren't those your favorite things? You said they held our memories, that you couldn't even bear to display them. Are you short on money? It's useless junk, just getting in the way. Besides, it frees up some space for Lyndon's luggage." She looked pained. Tilly was also frowning. "You said you spent several all-nighters finishing those toys for me. And the dolls, you gave them to me for my birthdays. I was attached to them. Didn't your daddy Lyndon buy you lots of new ones? Those are outdated now." My attitude was nonchalant. Victoria stared at me suspiciously. She tried to place her hand on my forehead, but I instinctively took a few steps back. Her hand stopped mid-air. "Are you not feeling well? You've been acting so strange lately." She had finally noticed something was wrong with me, but unfortunately, it was too late. I brushed it off, changing the subject. I asked her why she was back at this hour and why Tilly wasn't in school. "Right. I have great news. Lyndon landed a huge order for the company. The client specifically requested him for the design. If we pull this off, we could go international. I'll need you to take a look at the plans later." I felt no emotional reaction. The company was Victoria's lifeblood, and I used to care about it more than she did. In the past, news like this would have had me celebrating for 3 days straight. "You must be thrilled speechless. We came back specifically to pick you up. Lyndon booked a table at the Grandview Hotel. Let's go." As far as I knew, that hotel was usually for family gatherings. Were we going to present ourselves as a family of 4? They might have no shame, but I did. "I'll pass. I have a follow-up appointment this afternoon." "No time." Victoria looked disappointed. She was about to say something else when Lyndon took a call. He said the client was rushing them, and if they didn't go now, they'd lose the table. Tilly pulled her mother into the car, and they sped off. For someone so shrewd, she was easily fooled. If she had just thought about it, she would have seen the holes in Lyndon's story. How could a reservation be taken by someone else? It was just an excuse not to bring me along. 5. I went to the hospital and registered. It wasn't busy today, so my turn came quickly. "You look pretty good. Keep it up. Take your medicine on time. Eat less spicy food. Wear more high-collared shirts to protect your neck." Every time I came, he would drone on and on. I interrupted him. "Could you prescribe me more medicine? I'm leaving, and I probably won't be back often." His eyes widened. "Where are you going? The 3 of you together? Is Victoria leaving the company?" I smiled faintly. "Home. By myself. They're staying here." He seemed confused by what I was saying, but didn't press further, writing me a prescription for dozens of doses at once. Before I left, I patted him on the shoulder, hoping he wouldn't tell Victoria I was leaving. Though he was her friend, our friendship was more solid. Seeing him nod, I left with a sense of relief. I went online and looked up the process for changing the name on a property deed. I prepared everything and had it changed to Tilly's name. When I got home that evening, they were already back. Lyndon wasn't there. Victoria explained, "He went home to get something. You two can go over the proposal later." I walked over silently and pushed my wedding ring and the deed documents in front of her. "I've changed the house to the child's name. You're not wearing this ring anyway, so you can put it away with this." She didn't move for a long time. I had done what I needed to do. Without waiting for her reaction, I walked into the room. I had to pack up this room full of trophies to be shipped. A knock sounded at the door. Lyndon peeked his head in. "Big C, Victoria told me to come find you." I opened the door and walked out. him following close behind me to the living room. He laid out the proposals on the table. I picked one up and glanced at it. If his professor had seen this design, he would have disowned him as a student. He had made a cardinal mistake. Submitting this would result in a 60% chance of rejection, and he'd be labeled as unprofessional. None of these will work. The first one has a hollow internal structure. The second is logically incoherent. The third... Before I could finish, he lowered his head, his shoulders trembling slightly. He looked incredibly wronged, as if I were bullying him. "Big C, I know I'm not as good as you, but I worked so hard on these. I spent days and nights researching. My eyes are almost shot. You can't just dismiss my efforts because you don't like me." 6. This was ridiculous. I was objectively stating the problems with his work, and now he was making it personal. "Sincere," Victoria chimed in. "Technically, I don't understand design, so I can't really comment. But I think Lyndon is right. You can't let your personal feelings cloud your professional judgment. You're a professional, yes, but Lyndon is no slouch either." "Yeah, Daddy Lyndon," Tilly added. "I think these are all great. Don't listen to anyone else. You're the best. I can't wait to see the finished product." I took the hint. If they all thought it was fine, then I didn't care either. "Fine, do as you please. I won't interfere. It was my mistake for speaking up." Halloween was approaching. Every year, Victoria and I would go to an escape room, the place where we fell in love. I was leaving tonight. One last time then. That morning, as she was rushing out the door, I called out to her, "Do you remember our promise?" She waved her hand impatiently. "I know. I'll be there on time this afternoon. See you then." I waited at the entrance of the shop for hours. It was almost closing time when Victoria finally arrived. We walked in side by side. The owner was confused. "Didn't you come this morning? Why are you back again and with a different person?" I looked at her. Her face was grim as she pulled me inside, ignoring the owner's question. We had played this room countless times. The puzzles were more or less the same, and we were out in less than 10 minutes. There was no challenge left. "You go back first," she said. "I still have work to finish. I'll probably pull an all-nighter and be back in the morning." I watched her leave, my eyes following her car until it completely disappeared from sight. "Victoria, there is no tomorrow for us." Then I received a series of texts from Lyndon. "Victoria, you were amazing today. You weren't scared at all in the escape room. And you're so smart, you solved the code in a flash. You also said you'd take me every year from now on. Thank you so much. I've never felt the warmth of a family before. You and Tilly gave that to me. I love you both." Whoops, sorry Big C, wrong person. Don't mind me. Ha ha. The messages were instantly retracted. Clark and Quentin don't even start with the same letter. It was obviously intentional. I replied, "From today on, Victoria and Tilly are all yours. Live happily as a family. And tell her for me I've signed the divorce papers and mailed them to her office. You're both free." 7. With what little luggage I had left, I went to the airport. I boarded the plane without a single look back, leaving this place of heartache behind. I drifted into a deep sleep and had a long dream. In it, Victoria and I were still university classmates. She pursued me relentlessly, and we lived a happy life together. In the second year of our marriage, Tilly was born. Slowly, she began to change. The scene shifted, and a 20-year-old Sincere Clark, his face streaked with tears and covered in scars, looked at me and said, "Don't forgive her." I woke with a start and checked the time. We were about to land. As soon as I got off the plane and turned on my phone, a flood of messages and missed calls poured in. All from one person, Victoria. "Answer the phone, Sincere Clark. What is the meaning of this? Where did you go? Are you even a man? Did I agree to this divorce? How dare you just dump me?" Before I could even think of a reply, I heard someone calling my name from a distance. I turned to see my parents, Robert and Eleanor Clark, holding a sign and waiting for me. I ran to them, dropped my luggage, and threw my arms around them. In that moment, all my sorrow vanished, replaced by pure joy. "Mom, Dad, I missed you so much. I'm never leaving you again. From now on, I'll listen to whatever you say." My mom's tears fell freely, and my dad's eyes grew red. He squeezed my shoulder and looked me up and down. "You rascal, you've lost weight. You haven't been eating properly, have you?" I was ushered into the car. My mom's eyes never left my face. I chuckled, "Mom, what is it?" "It's not like I'm going to disappear. Mom's afraid you'll be like you were over a decade ago, leaving with just a letter in the middle of the night, then getting married out of the blue. Have you been okay?" I felt a surge of self-reproach, biting my lower lip. My parents were getting old, their hair streaked with white. As their son, not only had I failed to give them peace of mind, but I had caused them endless worry. I had been such a terrible son. "I've been fine. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. A sharp ringtone cut me off. I answered the call, and Victoria's loud voice blared from the other end. "Sincere Clark." "What is wrong with you leaving without a word? What do you take me and Tilly for?" "I'm giving you half an hour. I want to see you at home, or else don't blame me for really divorcing you." "Was it just because I went to the escape room with Lyndon? Are you really going to throw a tantrum over that? And about the design proposal, I know you were unhappy. We can redo it. You can design it, how about that? I've said so much. Are you mute? Can't you say a single word? I hate it when you're like this, just shutting down completely." In the pauses between her tirade, I could hear Lyndon's voice in the background. "Victoria, calm down. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have pestered you to go play games." When she had finally vented her anger, I spoke, my voice calm and detached. "I've made myself perfectly clear, and I'm not coming back. Victoria, I wish you happiness." I hung up the phone, pulled a SIM card out, and tossed it out the window, letting it float away on the wind. 8. Her phone call made everything clear to my parents. The car fell silent. Finally, my mom broke the tension. "It's good that you're divorced. You were both so busy you never even had a proper wedding. This twist of fate makes things much simpler." My dad gripped the steering wheel, his eyes frequently meeting mine in the rearview mirror. After a moment of hesitation, he said, "Son, I have a business partner. His daughter is beautiful, has a great personality. Why don't you two meet? If things work out, it would be a great help when you eventually take over the business." My mom nudged him with her elbow. "The boy just got out of one situation and you're already pushing him to get remarried? Besides, you didn't even discuss it with me." "Mom, Dad, I agree," I said. "You can arrange it. I just don't know if she'll mind that I'm a divorced man." I laughed self-deprecatingly. My mom immediately bristled. "Who would dare mind? Plenty of people would kill for a chance with our family. Your father and I wouldn't stand for it." When we got home, my room was just as I remembered it, with a faint, fresh scent in the air. It was clear someone had been keeping it clean all these years, just waiting for me to return. I slept for a while, then went out in the afternoon to get a new phone card. I messaged Dr. Leo Zane to let him know I was safe, then drove to the studio, catching Owen and the others completely by surprise. "Big C, you're back, boss. Owen said you wouldn't be back for a while. Why'd you come back without a word?" "Oh, the boss is back. Our big family is finally reunited. We're going out for dinner tonight to celebrate." I laughed out loud, grateful that I hadn't completely lost myself. Our large group went out for dinner. Before we could even get inside, I spotted an old acquaintance, Melody Croft. She turned around in disbelief, her mouth agape. In a flash, she lunged into my arms. I stumbled back, grabbing the nearby door frame to steady myself. "Hey, men and women should keep their distance, you know. Aren't you afraid your boyfriend will get jealous?" "Get up." She held on to me, refusing to let go. After a long moment, I realized she was crying. This girl. She wouldn't shed a single tear even if she broke her arm in a fight. Well, is the great Miss Croft shedding tears? Aren't you embarrassed?" I teased. She pretended to be angry and lightly punched me. After saying a few words to her friend, she joined us in our private room. Throughout the evening, her eyes were fixed on me. I started to feel self-conscious and ended the dinner party early. As we were leaving, Owen teased me. "Our boss sure is charming, attracting beauties wherever he goes." We laughed and joked as they all went their separate ways. Melody and I went for a stroll. She asked me so many questions, and I was so busy answering that I didn't notice the mischievous glint in her eyes. When I got home, my parents were waiting for me on the sofa. "Son, we've arranged everything. You'll meet her tomorrow evening. How does that sound? Is it convenient for you?" I agreed. It was all the same to me, it made no difference who it was. Victoria couldn't reach me, and she didn't try to call and bother me again. 9. I went with my parents to the meeting spot. I closed my eyes, feigning sleep, trying to look melancholic. My mom watched me with a worried expression. "Son, if you don't want to do this, it's not too late. Your dad and I can turn the car around right now." I opened my eyes and grinned. "Mom, it's not that. I just didn't sleep well. Wanted to rest my eyes for a bit." I felt my dad ease up on the gas, and a warmth spread through my heart. My parents had already done so much for me. I couldn't make things difficult for them again. When we arrived, the woman wasn't there yet. I went outside for a smoke and unexpectedly ran into Melody at the entrance. "You're eating here too?" She had a long face and nodded. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. She started lighting my cigarette for me, massaging my arm. Something was definitely up. I squinted at her sideways. "Big C, do me a favor. Pretend to be my boyfriend." I choked on a puff of smoke and stared at her as if she were crazy. "Pretend. It's fake," she pleaded. "To be honest, my parents are forcing me into a blind date today. I don't want to marry a stranger. Help me out, and I'll give you a 10% cut on our next collaboration." I sent a quick text to my mom. She replied that the woman hadn't arrived yet. Figuring I had some time, I reluctantly agreed. It definitely wasn't for the money. I put my arm around her waist and we walked inside. She directed me where to go, but the further we went, the more something felt wrong. This was the exact room my parents had booked. Before I could say anything, she pushed the door open. She didn't notice the expressions on our 4 parents' faces. "Mom, Dad, Uncle, Auntie, I'm so sorry, but I can't go through with this blind date. This is my boyfriend, Sincere Clark. I love him very much, and I'm going to marry him." Everyone was trying to hold back their laughter. I silently removed my arm and leaned against the door frame to enjoy the show. Melody was completely baffled. "Mom, Dad, what are you laughing at? Help me apologize to Uncle and Auntie." My mom stood up and cleared her throat, though her voice was still laced with amusement. "Sincere, so you and Mel already know each other? Well, that saves us the introduction. Come, sit down." Melody was dumbfounded. I pulled out a chair for her. "Have a seat, Miss Croft." Throughout the entire meal, she was as quiet as a mouse, just burying her head in her food. A date was set the day after my competition. The 4 parents left together, leaving the 2 of us alone. I lit another cigarette and said teasingly, "All right, they're all gone. Are you planning to ignore me for the rest of your life?" She shot me a glare, looking charmingly cute. I was momentarily mesmerized, only snapping out of it when the ash from my cigarette fell onto my hand. 10. I thought she was unwilling, so I chose my words carefully. "If you don't want to, I can go talk to my parents." She quickly looked up, her cheeks puffed out. "I didn't say I didn't want to. I mean, being with you is better than being with anyone else. I've been swamped with work lately." Leo gave me a video call. We chatted for over half an hour before he finally got to the point, hemming and hawing. "Victoria asked me for your number. I gave it to her. Also, her company is in trouble. Lyndon Archer was a mole. He stole company secrets. And that big client from before, the proposal he submitted was not only ridiculed by them, but it got leaked online. There are rumors that Victoria was seduced, that she cheated during your marriage. Her company's stock has plummeted." The news didn't faze me. It was all within my expectations, though I hadn't predicted the company would fall for that specific reason. I told him I was getting married. He was so shocked his jaw dropped. "Are you really over her? Your feelings were so deep. Can you really let go?" She was willing to let go, so why shouldn't I? It's all in the past. You should come to the wedding. I'll cover your flight. A patient arrived, so we ended the call. The competition was fast approaching. After countless revisions, my design was finally taking shape. I hadn't competed in 8 years, hadn't been in the public eye. I needed this to be a triumphant return. Dozens of people at the studio were counting on me. I ran into Lyndon backstage. I was surprised to see he was also participating. He had a vicious expression, a look of someone certain of victory. I successfully submitted my design and breathed a sigh of relief. All that was left was to wait for the results. I rushed to the bridal shop where Melody was trying on wedding dresses. She pulled me over to help her choose. As she tried on one dress after another, I realized I never knew a woman could be so beautiful. I couldn't take my eyes off her. I didn't even notice my phone buzzing until several messages came through. Darling, I was wrong. I'm being punished for it now. Please, can you forgive me? Tilly and I will come find you. Just send us an address. Our family of 3 will never be separated again. I just heard from Leo that you're getting married. It's not true, right? We're not even divorced yet. Besides, you could never abandon me and Tilly. I knew you were just angry. Please reply when you see this. I casually snapped a photo of Melody's back in a wedding dress and sent it to her. No words. Immediately, my phone started blowing up with frantic calls. 11. I blocked her number and focused on appreciating the beautiful sight before me. The thought of getting married tomorrow kept me awake like a teenage boy. I tossed and turned until the early hours of the morning, showing up the next day with huge dark circles under my eyes. I let the makeup artists do their work, then dazedly got into the wedding car to pick up Melody. I carried her into the car, my eyes fixed on her. She looked a little shy and mumbled, "What are you looking at?" "My arms are getting sore," I said, breathing a little heavily. The atmosphere turned slightly ambiguous intimate. The roads were clear. My parents and hers had made sure everything was taken care of. But all day I had this uneasy feeling in my chest, a sense that something was about to happen. We accepted the blessings of our friends and family, and the ceremony concluded smoothly. My heart finally settled. During the toasts, I walked from table to table with her arm in mine. As we neared the entrance, I felt an intense stare. I followed the gaze and saw Victoria and Tilly. "Daddy, don't marry another woman. Don't you want Mommy and me anymore?" Tilly ran out, grabbing my suit jacket and refusing to let go. In front of all these people, she was showing me no respect at all. "Victoria, is this the well-behaved child you raised? Crashing someone's wedding?" Melody squeezed my hand, silently encouraging me. We exchanged a smile. "Tilly, your mother and I are divorced. This is my new wife. You can call her Aunt Melody. Today is a happy day. Do you think you should be here making a scene? Isn't that a bit ill-mannered and rude?" I tried to reason with her, but she started throwing a tantrum, clinging to my leg and spewing insults at Melody. "You vixen, don't you dare get close to my daddy, you bitch. It's all your fault. My daddy doesn't want us anymore. Everyone. Look, she's the other woman." She gave Melody a hard shove. I reacted quickly, wrapping my arm around Melody's waist to steady her. "Victoria, we were husband and wife once. Are you just going to stand there and let Tilly act like this?" My parents stood up, and at a single glance from them, a dozen bodyguards appeared. She continued to pester and threaten, creating a scene. The guests looked at each other, unsure of what to do. "Darling, I really know I was wrong," Victoria pleaded. "Let me explain everything. Lyndon and I only have a professional relationship. I took him in out of pity. As for the issue with Tilly's name, I admit I didn't think it through. I took her to have it changed before we came. Her name is Tilly Clark now. Leaving you on the road in the cold was not my intention. Lyndon said a document was urgent and he couldn't figure it out, so I had to rush back. His injured foot and my bruised leg were completely unrelated. I brought him home only for the convenience of work, and taking him to the escape room, that was just because he said he'd never been. I thought I'd just take him for fun. I specifically went in the morning so it wouldn't interfere with our plans. As for the design proposal, it's not that I didn't trust you. He's a rookie, and he said he'd never completed and had the final say on a project by himself. I have a soft spot for people who beg me, so I agreed. You know I can't stand to see people plead with me." She blurted it all out without a care. She, who used to value her reputation above all else, was now airing all our dirty laundry in public just to win me back. The guests whispered among themselves, but she paid them no mind. 12. Tilly pulled out the small toys I had sold from her pocket. She held them up to me, her hands trembling. "Daddy, look, Mommy bought them all back. These are our memories. Can you really forget them? Please come back with us." Meeting her hopeful gaze, I picked one up, then pretended it slipped from my grasp, letting it fall to the ground. "Oops, sorry," I said with an innocent expression. "It slipped. Victoria, I am begging you, stop this. Let's part on good terms. It's better for both of us. If you continue this madness, I will have them throw you out immediately, and they won't be as polite as I'm being." My patience was wearing thin. I had never found them so infuriatingly unreasonable. Just then, Dr. Leo Zane returned from the restroom and saw the scene. He ran over and grabbed Victoria, who was about to lunge forward again. "Victoria, come with me. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Let's go, quickly." He forcefully dragged her and their daughter out of the hall, shooting me an apologetic look. He was the one who had told them the time and place. I just smiled, giving him a reassuring glance. The wedding continued. Melody and I retired to our bridal suite. She was very shy. "Melody, I'm sorry about what happened today. It was all my—" She placed a finger on my lips, stopping my unfinished sentence. She removed the celebratory ribbon from my shoulder. "You don't need to explain. I don't mind. And don't worry about my parents, they're reasonable people. What happened today had nothing to do with you. As for you," she said, a playful look in her eye, "are you still going to call me Melody Croft? Shouldn't you change how you address me?" The night was precious, and everything that followed felt natural and destined. The next day I woke up first. She was still asleep. I gently placed a kiss on her forehead. Heaven had been good to me, letting me marry such a wonderful woman. I later found out that she had fallen for me at first sight. The girl sure knew how to be patient, but in the end, her wish came true. The day to check the competition results was approaching. My hands trembled with excitement as I clicked the search button. First place was Lyndon Archer. It wasn't that I looked down on him, but his technical knowledge was genuinely terrible. I asked a friend to show me his submission from the back end. It was identical to the piece I submitted to my very first competition in high school. He had plagiarized my work. He actually had the audacity. Before I could confront him, he came to me. "Big C, looks like I beat you. Sorry about that. You'll have to try harder next year." I couldn't be bothered with him. I went straight to the organizers and submitted my portfolio from over the years, along with my design inspiration, sketches, and multiple drafts for the piece in question. They acted quickly, forming an oversight committee to investigate. Lyndon thought he had it in the bag, but when they questioned him about the intricate details of the work, he couldn't answer. He dodged and weaved, and it became clear to everyone that it was plagiarism. His victory was revoked, and he was officially banned from competing for 5 years, a warning to the entire industry not to make the same mistake. 13. On the day of the award ceremony, my whole family was there. Melody sat in the front row. With her there, I felt at ease. Mr. Clark, the host, asked, "What has supported you on this long journey and allowed you to stay true to your original passion? Would you mind sharing that with us?" I lowered my head with a slight smile, then my eyes met Melody's. Her bright, shining eyes reflected only me. I heard myself murmur, "Because of love. A passion for what you do can overcome any hardship. I want to contribute everything I've learned to the jewelry design industry, so that thousands of us can help it flourish. This is my dream, and it is my hope." The audience erupted in thunderous applause after the ceremony. Melody. My parents and I were heading out together. My mom had booked a restaurant to celebrate. "Congratulations. You've finally achieved your dream," a voice said over the phone. "Sincere Clark, I'm asking you one last time. Is there really no going back for us?" I handed the phone to Melody, letting her decide what to say. "I'm sorry," she said sweetly into the phone. "My husband is tired and fell asleep. I'll have him call you back when he wakes up tomorrow. Oh, and I have some good news for you. I'm pregnant." I glanced over. So mischievous. We were all adults. The meaning behind her words was crystal clear. "You're pregnant? For real?" I asked her after she hung up. She pouted and walked ahead of me in a huff. I caught up to her, waiting for her answer. "You're so slow, you idiot," she said. "You're going to be a dad." I was so happy I didn't know what to do. I wanted to hug her but was afraid of hurting the baby. In the end, she was the one who burrowed into my arms. "Sincere Clark, our happiness is just beginning. Are you ready?" I didn't answer with words but with a kiss. The following year, our little princess was born, weighing 6 pounds and 2 ounces. I named her Clara Clark. The end. After our engagement, Penelope Donovan gave me a black card and told me to spend whatever I wanted. I bought a $4 lemonade and she immediately berated me for being a scrounger. Sincere, the Donovan family needs a man who can represent them, not some scrounger who's afraid to even spend money. Your every move reflects on the Donovan family. I can't afford to be embarrassed like this. I broke up with her. She immediately turned around and accepted a marriage proposal from Ethan Taylor, the sponsored student her family was funding. 5 years later, we met again at the kindergarten gate. Penelope, arm in arm with the handsome Ethan Taylor, stepped out of a Maybach. When she saw me buying a popsicle for my son at a small stand, she stormed over, roaring, "Sincere, how dare you feed my son this junk? Can't you ever shake off that country bumpkin mentality?" I frowned. "He's not your son." She squinted, sizing up the child, then suddenly sneered, "He's so handsome. How could he not be mine?" I couldn't be bothered to explain. My son has his mother's eyes and nose, but the rest of him is all me. What in the world did that have to do with Penelope Donovan? As school let out, Penelope's black Maybach was parked ostentatiously at the school gate. The parents picking up their children immediately flocked around it. "Look, isn't that Miss Donovan from the Greenwood group? Oh my God, her child goes to school here too? No way, this is just an ordinary public kindergarten. Why would someone of her status—" Penelope frowned in annoyance and turned to get back in the car. Ethan quickly spoke to the crowd in a gentle voice. "Excuse me, everyone. Could you give us some space? Penny has a bit of a thing about germs and isn't comfortable with crowds. Thank you." He smiled faintly. "We're here to pick up my nephew. I hope there's no misunderstanding. We're not married yet." Penelope leaned close to Ethan's ear. "Hurry up and get the kid. We have to visit the Montgomerys later." In the business world of Jinghai, paying a visit to the preeminent Montgomery family was standard protocol. No one dared to be disrespectful. Ethan nodded obediently at once. "Don't worry, Penny. I know how many strings you had to pull to get a meeting with Miss Montgomery. I won't mess things up. But I've heard Miss Montgomery is devoted to her husband and children and keeps them very private. I wonder what kind of man her husband is." Penelope ignored him. She stood leaning against the door with her arms crossed, a picture of lazy arrogance, the same way she looked when she dumped me. I remember the day I broke up with her. The very next second, Ethan was on one knee proposing. I hadn't even walked out the door before the two of them were locked in a passionate embrace. I couldn't figure it out back then. 4 years together, from college to our engagement, how could she cut me off so cleanly, so cruelly? It wasn't until I received that message from Ethan later. Only then did I understand that my 4 years with her had been a complete and utter joke. "Daddy, I want a popsicle." My son's tug on my sleeve jolted me from my memories. The popsicle vendor glared at me impatiently. "Are you buying this or not? If not, give it back." Only then did I realize the popsicle in my hand was mostly melted. "I'm sorry, this one's on me. Could I get another one, please? I'll pay for both." The vendor suddenly exploded. "Who are you looking down on? You think I need your couple of bucks? Take your melted popsicle and get lost. Don't bring your bad luck over here." His tone was vicious, and my son burst into tears. Everyone's eyes shot toward us. Penelope glanced over her shoulder nonchalantly. The moment our eyes met, her sharp, dark eyes flickered violently. But in an instant, she turned away as if she hadn't seen me at all. My son clung to my leg, sobbing uncontrollably. I had no choice but to hand him the melted popsicle. "Just one little taste, okay?" Just as my son was about to lick it, Penelope suddenly spun around. She stared at us, her chest heaving as if she could no longer hold back. She strode over and slapped the popsicle out of my hand. "Sincere, you're feeding my son this kind of garbage?" As she spoke, she wiped her fingers with a silk handkerchief in disgust. "You'll never get rid of that ingrained country bumpkin cheapness." My son, terrified, broke into a loud wail. I quickly knelt and pulled him into my arms to comfort him. Penelope hesitantly reached out a hand but snatched it back just before touching the child. Her voice suddenly softened. "Back then, why did you disappear with the child without a word?" I froze. Her furious roar just now, I almost thought I'd misheard. Now I understood. She actually thought Leo was her child. "You're mistaken. He's not your son. If you don't mind, please move aside. I have no interest in catching up. My wife was coming to pick us up any minute. If she saw this scene, that green-eyed monster would find some way to punish me for sure." But Penelope just narrowed her eyes, studying my son, and didn't move. Ethan wrapped his arm intimately around her waist. "Penny, don't scare the little one. You'll make Sincere upset. The boy looks like he's only about 3. He can't be yours." Then he leaned in and whispered in her ear, "If you really like children, we can get married sooner and have one of our own." Penelope cut him off, her tone firm. "He is my son, so handsome, who else could he belong to but me?" She was certainly confident. "My son has my wife's eyes and nose, the rest of him is all me. Even if he's handsome, it's thanks to my wife and me. What does it have to do with her?" The crowd of onlookers grew, their whispers rising. Could it be Miss Donovan's illegitimate son? The other man and the fiancé are facing off. This is going to be good. But this other man has some spine, raising the kid alone all this time without asking Miss Donovan for money. They spoke with such conviction. It made Ethan's face grow darker and darker. He stared at me warily, his voice deliberately low. "Sincere, we're getting married soon. Even if this really is Penny's child, please continue to raise him yourself and don't disturb us. We've been through so many misunderstandings to get to where we are today. I don't want some random child to ruin it all." As he spoke, he reached out to caress Penelope's cheek. "Penny, why don't we give Sincere some money for child support? I really don't want to be a stepfather." Penelope stared at me, her voice tight with anger. "My son is over 4 years old, and you've raised him to be so skinny he's clearly malnourished. If you couldn't afford to raise a child, why didn't you come to me? Doesn't your conscience ache watching your own flesh and blood grow up like this?" I almost laughed out of sheer anger. "Leo is just over 3, and he's quite well developed for his age." How did he become malnourished in her eyes? "I'll repeat myself one more time. He is not your son. He was born in May, so he just turned 3. All the kids in his preschool class are this size." Penelope's brow furrowed, and she pulled out her phone. "Give me your number. I'll transfer the child support right now. That way I can contact you when I want to see my son." "Not necessary," I said flatly, too tired to argue anymore. Penelope's voice turned cold. "The child isn't yours alone. Am I not allowed to fulfill my duties as a mother?" I frowned in irritation. "Will you ever stop? We broke up 5 years ago. Is there any point in pestering me like this?" Penelope was clearly stunned. Then she laughed contemptuously. "Sincere, you're overthinking things. I just don't want Donovan blood to suffer with you. It's not because I still have feelings for you. Don't worry. Even if I have your number, I'll only contact you to see our son. After all, I don't want Ethan to get the wrong idea." Her gaze shifted back and forth between me and my son, her expression growing complex. "Or, have you been holding a grudge against me all these years? Are you trying to get back at me by neglecting the child? To make me regret breaking up with you? To make me come back to you?" I quickly waved my hands. "I love Leo very much, and I have no—" Sincere Penelope suddenly cut me off, rubbing her temples wearily. "Stop pretending. I admit the breakup was sudden and hard for you to accept. But I love Ethan. If I had known I was pregnant, I would have terminated it to avoid this embarrassing situation." I froze for a moment. There it was. She'd finally said what she really thought. Even if she had been pregnant with my child, He would now only be a burden to her, something that made her feel embarrassed and made Ethan uncomfortable. I didn't need her reminder. If she had really been pregnant back then, I definitely wouldn't have kept the child either. How could I be sure a child was mine when the mother's heart and soul belonged to someone else? I was silent for a few seconds to completely put her mind at rest. I pulled out my phone. The child really isn't yours. I'm married and my wife is wonderful to me. Want to see the marriage certificate? That had to convince her, right? Just as I was about to unlock my phone, she pressed her hand down on mine. Photos can be faked. Since you're determined to hide him, you must have prepared for this. I was instantly speechless. Think whatever you want. The pointing and murmuring from the crowd grew louder. I picked up my son, ready to leave. Leo was still little, he shouldn't be hearing this filth. But Penelope suddenly grabbed my wrist, her gaze fixed on our son, full of emotion. Leo, call me Mommy. I was utterly dumbfounded. Leo blinked his big eyes and timidly said, Auntie. Penelope's eyes instantly turned red. She looked at me, heartbroken, her voice trembling. Sincere, you never even told the child about me? How could you be so cruel? Other children have their mothers to grow up with, but my son, Penelope Donovan's son, has to suffer this injustice. I completely lost my patience. Are you done? Let go, but Penelope's grip only tightened. After a long silence, she suddenly sighed. For our son's sake, I'll give in. Sincere, you can come back. I was confused. What? Penelope's lips twisted into a smirk. Come back to my side. Are you satisfied now? Penny Ethan immediately looked at her, hurt. What about me? Penelope's eyes flickered. Ethan, I'll just consider him the child's nanny. My feelings for you won't change. It's just, I really can't let this child go. Ethan shot me a venomous glare, tears welling up in his eyes instantly. I won't have it. This scrounger is using this dirty trick to cling to you. He's obviously playing hard to get. He can't get over you. Penelope soothed him while staring at me with cold eyes. I know. Don't worry. Even if he gets on his knees and begs me, I won't be moved. You know as well as I do, with his background and his worldview, how could he possibly be worthy of me? This exchange drew a snort of laughter from the popsicle vendor. I thought he was some big shot. Turns out he's just a clingy homewrecker. The onlookers immediately chimed in. He acts all high and mighty, but he's just a high-level scheming snake. No wonder he's taught his kid to be so timid. Didn't you hear, Miss Donovan? He's from the countryside, a total country bumpkin. So what if I'm from a rural background? I became an investment advisor through my own hard work, handling projects worth hundreds of millions. But in her eyes, I'd never shake the scrounger label. I love hot street food, hiking at dawn, and devouring half a watermelon in the summer. During our relationship, she disdained all these little things as uncouth. And Ethan Taylor? As the poor student she sponsored, he used her money to buy luxury goods. How come she never called him a gold digger? In the end, it was simple. She just didn't love me. I coldly shook off her hand. Penelope Donovan, if you keep this disgusting act up, I'm calling the police. Ethan immediately pulled her into his arms. Penny, he's poor and stubborn. He's taking your kindness as an insult. Let's just leave him alone. But Penelope didn't budge. Instead, she sneered. The police? That's perfect. With the Donovan family's connections, custody of the child will be awarded to me 100%. I'm giving you two choices now. Either leave your contact information and accept the child support, or come home with me and our son right now. As his nanny. I was so angry I could have screamed. I picked up my son and started to walk away. Penelope's face was terrifyingly dark. She rushed forward and snatched Leo from my arms. Since you're so ungrateful, I'll raise the child myself. She held my struggling son tightly. If you want to see him, you can find me at Coast 1. I just moved to Jinghai recently. Before I could react, Penelope was already striding toward the Maybach with my son. Ethan trotted behind her, murmuring pitifully, Penny, didn't you say we were here to pick up my nephew? My son suddenly began to wail. his cries tearing at my heart as he desperately reached for me. "Daddy, bad guy, I'm scared." I lunged forward like a madman, only to be blocked by the crowd. "The kid will have a great life with him, Miss Donovan. What are you freaking out for? No wonder Miss Donovan doesn't want him. He has no class," not even thinking about his son's future, watching Penelope open the car door. I finally broke down, my voice a ragged shout. "Penelope Donovan, please, I'm begging you, give me back my son." My hands trembled as I fumbled for my phone. "I'm not the other man. My wife is the head of the Montgomery family. Leo is our eldest son. We have a little daughter, too. I have a family photo on my phone." Look, in an instant, the air erupted with harsh, mocking laughter. "The Montgomery family? The one that can bankrupt a public company with a single word? If Miss Montgomery was your wife, would your kid be in this kindergarten? You might as well say you're the president." Everyone was mocking me. No one believed me. A chill ran through me, but I couldn't just stand by and watch my son be taken away, so I screamed with all my might. "Penelope Donovan, I'll go back with you." Penelope's steps came to an abrupt halt. She handed the child to Ethan and stormed toward me like a hurricane. The next second, she threw herself into my arms, her slender, pale arms wrapped tightly around my neck, squeezing so hard I could barely breathe. I was about to struggle when she suddenly grabbed my chin, tilted my head, and snarled in my ear. "Sincere, did you really think I'd still want a man who uses a child to scheme against me? Where's that ferocity you had when you broke up with me in front of all our friends?" Pain brought tears to my eyes. "Penelope, say whatever you want. Scrounger, schemer, uncouth, I don't care. Just give me back my son." Emotions churned in her eyes. I almost thought she was about to agree, but the next moment she shoved me away, took out her handkerchief, and wiped her hands. "Get in the car yourself." As she walked toward the Maybach, I followed slowly, the crowd's contemptuous stares burning my back. But Ethan suddenly pulled her into his arms, his voice choked with tears. "Penny, can we not take him back? That's the home we've lived in for 10 years. I don't want a stranger there." Penelope gently patted his back. "Shh. He'll stay in the servants' quarters. Just pretend he doesn't exist." Seeing their intimacy, the bitter memories flooded back. Ethan had been sponsored by the Donovan family since high school and had always lived at their estate. Mr. and Mrs. Donovan treated him like their own son, and Penelope doted on him. During a debate tournament in our sophomore year, it was love at first sight for Penelope, and she pursued me relentlessly. She was stunningly beautiful, gentle, and considerate, and I quickly fell for her. But in our 4 years together, she never took me to the Donovan estate, all because Ethan didn't like visitors. Until one year on her birthday, I wanted to surprise her and went to her house to wait. There, standing in the rain, I saw her kissing Ethan. Pathetically, I convinced myself it was just a hallucination. Sincere Ethan suddenly shouted at me. "You're still so shameless, clinging to Penny like a leech. Why didn't you die in that car crash 5 years ago?" My whole body went rigid. How did he know about the car crash? The day of the breakup, I had just walked out of the hotel when a car hit me. As I was being treated in the hospital, I dazedly pulled out the blood-soaked black card to pay, only to hear the doctor say, "Sir, this card has been frozen." My face covered in blood, I suddenly smiled. A smile that soaked the pillow with tears. Less than an hour after we broke up, she couldn't wait to cut me off. If I hadn't run into my wife, who was doing a hospital inspection, I might have actually died. "Ethan," Penelope suddenly asked him. "What car crash? What are you talking about?" Ethan's face stiffened, and he put on a confused expression. "Huh? I didn't say anything. You must have misheard." Penelope was silent for a couple of seconds, then turned back and yelled at me, her face cold. "What are you standing there for? Get in, I'm going to the Montgomerys', and you're coming with me." "The Montgomerys?" I was slightly taken aback. Her face was full of impatience. "Yes. And you will stay in the car and not get out. That way you won't have another one of your episodes, spouting nonsense about Miss Montgomery being your wife and having children." I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, as long as we got back to the Montgomery estate, this farce would be over. She gave me a brief glance, seemingly unaccustomed to my sudden compliance. At that moment, no one noticed that my son had quietly climbed out of the car. By the time I saw him, he was standing in the middle of the road. My son rubbed his eyes and looked into the distance, where a familiar custom-built Hongqi sedan was approaching. The next second, my son suddenly raised his little hand and shouted at the car, "Mommy, bad guy, come save me," and Daddy, the blood in my veins turned to ice. My legs went weak, but I still rushed toward my son like a madman, instinctively shielding him with my body. "Honey, stop the car." Sincere amidst the screeching of brakes, I heard Penelope's panicked cry. The searing pain I expected never came. A once familiar embrace held me and my son tightly. Penelope's arms were stiff around me, her voice trembling. "Sincere, I guess I'm doomed to be ruined by you." Before the words were out of her mouth, she was shoved away forcefully. I looked up to see Victoria Montgomery, dressed in a power suit, crouching on the ground, anxiously checking us for injuries. My son and I hugged her at the same time, sobbing, "Honey, Mommy." Victoria held us tight, burying her face in my shoulder without a word. This woman, who was always so gentle in front of her family, was now radiating a terrifying fury. "Honey, I was only thinking of protecting our son," I explained in a low voice. Victoria took a deep breath, her voice still trembling. "What if Mr. Peterson hadn't been able to brake in time?" I nuzzled her cheek reassuringly. "Mr. Peterson is retired from the Special Forces. You don't trust his skills?" She snorted and gave my shoulder a light warning bite. "If there's a next time, I'll bite until you learn to be scared." Penelope sat on the ground in a daze. For someone so obsessed with cleanliness, she had forgotten to get up. She stared at us, her face a mask of shock. "Sincere, you better explain who this woman is." She suddenly exploded with rage. "You're really fucking married? Who gave you permission to find a stepmother for my son? Did I allow it?" Victoria slowly raised her head, her gaze as sharp as a blade. "Your son? Stepmother?" Only then did Penelope get a clear look at the woman's face. Her own face went deathly pale. "Ms. Montgomery?" Victoria raised an eyebrow nonchalantly. "Greenwood Group? Penelope Donovan?" Penelope opened her mouth, but the words died in her throat. Victoria didn't give her a chance to speak. "Jinghai does not welcome you." With that, she signaled for her assistant to take Leo to the car. Penelope watched, not daring to interfere, her expression utterly wretched. "Ms. Montgomery, Sincere is my ex-boyfriend. The breakup was so sudden I didn't know I was pregnant with his child." She pointed at Leo. "Look at his features. He's clearly my son." "Are you insane?" Victoria sneered. "You think I don't know the child I gave birth to? Do you want me to slap you in the face with Leo's birth certificate? With your inferior genes, you think you could produce such an outstanding son?" As she spoke, Victoria's gaze became fiercely sharp. "And don't you dare use your filthy mouth to slander my husband. What's this nonsense about a breakup pregnancy and raising a child alone? Are you even worthy?" I, Penelope bit her lip, want a DNA test. I couldn't take it anymore. "Penelope Donovan, what in the world do you want? What right do you have to slander me like this in front of my wife and child? We ended things 5 years ago. We have our own families now. Can't we just part ways peacefully?" Penelope stared at me, her eyes bloodshot. "Impossible, Sincere. I've been looking for you for 5 whole years. I love you. And I don't want to just part ways." Peacefully, she acted as if she were the one who had been grievously wronged. "So I said a few things about you being a scrounger, so what? Don't I say that all the time? Was that any reason to break up with me at our engagement party? In front of all those people, how could you humiliate me like that?" In the end, she twisted the blame. "I accepted Ethan's proposal out of spite, and you just disappeared. Is that what you call loving me? How could you be so heartless?" I almost let out a cold laugh. "Penelope, I was hit by a car the moment I left that day. Lying in a pool of my own blood, I was still thinking how wonderful it would be to see you one last time. If you really cared about me, why didn't you even come out to see if I was okay?" I looked her straight in the eye. "I was in the hospital for 2 months. Did you really look for me? With the Donovan family's power in Sutton City, you couldn't find someone who was in a car accident. Saying it out loud, I felt the full tragic weight of it. My life was hanging by a thread, and my last thought was regret for breaking up with her, wanting to make things right. Penelope's pupils contracted, and she shook her head in a panic. Sincere, I didn't know. I thought you had left Sutton City. You still love me, right? It was that accident, a twist of fate that tore us apart. I don't. I cut her off cleanly. Since you love Ethan Taylor, why pretend to be so devoted to me? Wasn't playing me for a fool for 4 years enough? Penelope's face changed drastically. I love you. It's always been you. All the good things I did for you in those 4 years. Did you not see them? When did I ever play you? I closed my eyes wearily. That day in the rain, when you and Ethan were kissing, I saw everything. She frowned, as if trying to remember. You mean on my birthday? He kissed me suddenly. I just didn't refuse. Enough, I said calmly. I was his substitute for 4 years. It's laughable to think about it now. Substitute? She looked completely bewildered. I never... Shut up. Victoria pulled me behind her. She methodically adjusted her cufflinks, then suddenly threw a vicious punch, striking Penelope across the face. Go back to Sutton City. If you ever dare to harass my husband again, you'll have to get through me first. The Montgomery family's position in Jinghai was unassailable. A single word from Victoria could make it impossible for Penelope to survive in the city. As an ancient and powerful family with roots stretching back hundreds of years, the Montgomerys' influence in both military and political circles was immense. Even without using her family's power, Victoria's own skills as a former Special Forces operative in lawless regions meant that 10 Penelopes combined would be no match for her. With that punch, Victoria had held back. Otherwise, Penelope's facial bones would have been shattered. Watching Penelope clutch her face, groaning in pain, I gently took Victoria's hand. Honey, let's go home. Our daughter is waiting for us. At this point, the crowd finally recognized Victoria, and public opinion flipped in an instant. Oh my God, that Donovan woman actually called Mr. Knight the other man? And she insisted on claiming the young master as her own son. The child is only 3, but she insisted he was 4. Kidnapping a child in broad daylight, I've seen it all now. Ethan shakily helped Penelope up, a faint smile on his face as he looked at Victoria. Ms. Montgomery, this whole thing has been a misunderstanding. Sincere and Penny's past is 5 years behind them. We're getting married soon. Penny just has a soft heart. She saw that Sincere was having a hard time raising a child alone and wanted to help him. Victoria didn't even bother to glance at him. She focused on straightening my rumpled clothes and hair, her tone resigned. We'll have to change Leo's school. His identity has been exposed. I sighed and nodded. We had deliberately chosen this ordinary kindergarten and hidden our connection to the Montgomerys precisely so our son could have a normal life. I never imagined Penelope would ruin it on the very first day. Victoria's gaze swept over the crowd, her voice steady and powerful. It's my son's first day of kindergarten. All the children here are his schoolmates. I can let today's incident slide. You've had your fun. But if I hear so much as a whisper about this, she paused, you're all dismissed. The crowd scattered immediately, heading back to the school gate to wait for their children, as if nothing had happened. Victoria supported me, carefully helping me into the smoky blue, custom-built Hongqi state limousine. It was a one-of-a-kind vehicle, specially made for her by a friend. No wonder my son recognized his mother's car from so far away. The image of his small figure standing in the middle of the road, desperately waving for help, flashed before my eyes again, and they started to burn. I held my sleeping son tighter, kissing his soft pink cheek. Victoria had always taught him to protect his family. The boy was truly brave, he just didn't know how to recognize danger yet. Beep the driver honked the horn, urging Penelope and Ethan, who were blocking the way, to move. Ethan grumbled under his breath, a scowl on his face. What's so great about the Montgomerys? Before he could finish, Penelope clamped a hand over his mouth. "Shut up, this isn't Sutton City," she warned, her face grim. Ethan's eyes immediately reddened. "Penny, you're yelling at me?" Without another word, Penelope dragged him into their car. Since Victoria had ordered her to get back to Sutton City, she wouldn't last another day in Jinghai. Penelope had to get back and pack her things immediately. In the car, Ethan leaned against her, weeping silently. "You've never yelled at me before. For that scum Sincere, you actually... What's so great about the Montgomerys?" Showing off in some beat-up, hung-cheek, Penelope shoved him away violently, disgustedly brushing off her sleeves. "Ethan Taylor, have I spoiled you too much? Made you so arrogant and clueless? You're a poor student living off a sponsorship. Who are you to challenge the Montgomery family? You wouldn't even know how you died." Was as if Ethan had just woken from a dream. Seeing the dark expression on Penelope's face, he finally grasped the gravity of the situation. His voice immediately weakened. "Penny, if I did something bad to the Montgomerys, what would happen?" Penelope's gaze sharpened instantly. "What did you do?" In a flash, she remembered Ethan's slip of the tongue, "Why didn't you die 5 years ago?" and it all clicked into place. "You arranged that car crash?" Ethan's face was ashen, his eyes darting away. No, I didn't." But Penelope was certain it was him. She knew him too well, he could never look her in the eye when he lied. She grabbed him by the throat, slamming him against the car window. "How dare you?" Her knuckles turned white from the force. Ethan managed to squeeze out a few words through gritted teeth. "Penny, I love you. I just wanted to get rid of him. I didn't do anything wrong." Penelope suddenly released him, then slapped him hard across the face. "So for these past 5 years, when you said you were helping me find Sincere, you were actually destroying all the clues?" Penelope suddenly recalled the hesitant, evasive look on the private investigator's face during his monthly reports. It had been Ethan pulling the strings behind the scenes all along. A resounding slap landed on Ethan's face, and his fair cheek immediately swelled and turned red. He gasped for air, yet still stubbornly defended himself. "Penny, he was never good enough for you." Penelope let out a cold laugh and delivered another harder slap. Ethan's head slammed against the window. He cried from the pain, looking at Penelope with a pitiful expression. But right now, Penelope's face was like ice, radiating a terrifying aura. She stared at the man she had once pitied. Finally, she saw the venomous heart beneath his gentle exterior. "To think I was fooled by you for so many years." Penelope's voice was as cold as ice. "You actually wanted Sincere dead. Ethan Taylor, have you forgotten? You're just a dog I sponsor. When a dog is no longer loyal, do I dare keep it by my side? Letting you play the part of my fiancé these past few years, did you really start to think of yourself as the man of the Donovan family? I did all that just to lure Sincere out. Did you really think I would marry you?" Ethan was stunned and suddenly tried to embrace her. "Penny, don't scare me. You said you loved me, didn't you?" Without thinking, Penelope shoved him away. That was all a lie to provoke Sincere. "Are you incapable of understanding plain language?" Ethan stared at her blankly, then sat up straight in his seat, muttering to himself. "It's okay. Penny's just angry. As long as I'm good, she'll like me and marry me. What's this about a substitute?" Penelope's voice was frigid. "Speak." Ethan forced a gentle smile. "I just told Sincere that he smiled just like me. I really didn't say anything else." Penelope slumped back against the seat, a bitter curve to her lips. The little rabbit she had sponsored for 10 years had long since become a venomous snake that bites. She closed her eyes and said no more. But in her mind, she was already planning to thoroughly investigate the car crash from all those years ago and hand the evidence to Victoria. This was perhaps her only chance to remain in Jinghai. At the very least, she had to see Sincere one more time to explain everything clearly. And then there was the child, the one she had given birth to prematurely and had asked Ethan to deliver to Sincere. She wanted to know if he was okay. Late that night, after hearing an urgent report from the butler, Victoria, who was always soft-spoken at home, smashed her tablet on the floor. Her voice held a ferocity I had never heard before. "Hand this evidence over to the police. No settlements. I want a heavy sentence." She returned to the bedroom, Seeing me leaning against the headboard with our sleeping son in my arms, her icy expression instantly softened. She leaned gently against me, her hand trembling in mine, but she said nothing. I knew she was hurting for me again. She was always like this, never saying sweet things, just quietly taking care of everything for me. Just like 5 years ago in the hospital, when she saw me covered in blood, she had just pressed her lips together tightly and, without a word, arranged for a private jet to fly me to the best hospital in Jinghai. It was a coincidence, really. We had only met once before that. I was volunteering in a refugee camp that summer and met her with a bandage wrapped around her head. I remember offering her a piece of candy I'd brought from home. Want one? Victoria later told me that although she was born into the wealth of the Montgomery family, she always felt a sense of emptiness in her life. That's why she ran off to become a mercenary, until she met me. Seeing her low spirits now, I deliberately changed the subject. Honey, Leo got a scare today. He'll have to sleep with us. She carefully pulled our son into her embrace, gently patting his back, her voice slightly hoarse. Hubby, should I arrange a few bodyguards for you? Every time she had brought up bodyguards before, I had always shaken my head. I didn't want to go public with my identity, I just wanted to live a normal life. But thinking about it now, no matter what, I am still myself. I will still buy a $4 lemonade to quench my thirst, and I can still speak confidently in front of investors. Victoria often said, I just love the real you. I remember in the refugee camp when you offered me that candy, the way your eyes sparkled. I will protect that purity forever. If bodyguards would give her peace of mind, why should I be so stubborn? Whatever you say, I agreed with a smile. Her brow finally relaxed. Good, male bodyguards. She really couldn't change her green-eyed monster ways. But somehow the more I saw it, the more I loved it. I couldn't help but lean in and give her a light peck on the lips. Honey, I really, really, really love you as expected. Victoria's fair face instantly flushed bright red. Who would have thought that the formidable Miss Montgomery, who commanded respect everywhere she went, was, at home, a lovely woman who could be flustered by a few words of love? Life went on peacefully, until one late night when I was working overtime. I finished my investment analysis and was leaving the office when I saw Penelope leaning against a wall, lost in thought. The moment she saw me, her dull eyes suddenly lit up. Sincere, can we talk? There are some misunderstandings I want to clear up. I don't want you to hate me for the rest of your life. I didn't say a word. She took an eager step forward, wanting to get closer, but was blocked by my 2 bodyguards. Penelope froze in place, a bitter smile on her face. Sincere, does it really have to be like this between us? I didn't even look at her, continuing to walk forward under the protection of my bodyguards. Sincere, Penelope suddenly called out, her voice hoarse. Ethan Taylor designed that car crash. I've been looking for you all these years, but he cut off all the leads. My steps faltered slightly. The truth was, I had suspected it ever since Ethan let it slip that day. Victoria's unusual anger that night, her talk of a heavy sentence, had only confirmed it. Victoria chose not to tell me, not wanting me to be dragged back into the pain of the past. And Penelope, even now, was still pushing all the blame onto Ethan. Penelope, I sighed softly, did you ever think that constantly belittling me for being a scrounger was wrong? How could someone who looked down on me from the bottom of her heart ever truly love me? She was taken aback, but still stubbornly argued. You were never Ethan's substitute. I never thought you two were alike. I shook my head and continued walking. Penelope suddenly fell to her knees. Sincere, forgive me, please forgive me. I just felt that so many things you did were embarrassing to me. As a Donovan, being laughed at by my social circle for having an uncouth boyfriend. I took my anger out on you. I regret it so much. That's why after I gave birth to your child, I had Ethan bring him to you. I thought you would come back for the baby's sake, but you just disappeared without a trace. She sobbed uncontrollably. Our child, is he okay? I want to see him. I've missed him so much. Child? I suddenly laughed out loud. "Penelope, stop trying to fool me. I never saw any child." Those words made Penelope's face turn ashen. "Ethan Taylor, what did you do?" She let out a frantic scream and ran off as if she'd gone mad. After that, I never saw Penelope Donovan again, until one ordinary afternoon, when a news bulletin interrupted the program on TV. The Greenwood Group had declared bankruptcy. Its president, Penelope Donovan, had died after driving her car off a bridge while intoxicated, and in the passenger seat was Ethan Taylor, who had just been released on bail.